And he forecasted live on TV the crash of gold in 2013, oil prices collapse, and fluctuation intervals. You should stay off the television. Bad things happen. All right. And here he is, hopefully not to tell us that bad things are going to happen.
There is no much time left for me, so I'm going to stick to 3 minutes, okay? So I leave the room for questions and answers. Just briefly, how to seize an opportunity, how to identify or forecast an opportunity. So it's always a question, it's always a challenge, and everybody thinks that we have a magic wand, so we're going to tell you a secret, how to grab a certain opportunity. Actually, I don't have a magic wand, but normally you have to develop a certain relationship with the market. The way you develop a relation between husband and wife, the way you develop between kids and their parents. So you must build a certain relationship. You observe the market, so you're going to see the pattern. You're going to see if there will be a downtrend, there will be an uptrend, there will be a certain consolidation. So normally we use technical analysis with fundamental analysis. So those who tell you that normally academicians, they don't like, and people into the academic words, they don't like technical analysis. They tell you it's witchcrafting. This is not true. So using alone fundamental analysis as well, it's not enough. So you have to use both of them. Sometimes the market is more technical. Sometimes the market is more fundamental. So you have to develop a serious relationship between you and the market. I have to skip all that. And as you see, for example, here, so you have a change in the slope. This is not very short term, because normally we can identify on a monthly chart, we have a change in the market. So everybody knows here that we have the V-top, we are at the upper Bollinger Band, some people they call it Bollinger. So we have lots of chances that we're going to go to the lower Bollinger Band, and we have a change in the slope. All other indicators are supporting that. And of course the fundamental has to follow. So normally whenever we have to forecast, so we're going to identify that there is a certain pattern. So here it's a certain downward trend, here you see a certain consolidation. So we cannot say that we don't have a certain consolidation. And once we're going to break the consolidation and the change in the slope, so we are in a certain new trend. And this applies to currencies, applies to stocks, applies to indices, applies to commodities, to everything. Even for those who traded cryptos, we can use technical analysis. So for instance, when I forecasted the crash of real estate in Lebanon, so I wanted to see what is the relation between the price of oil, okay, and the price of non-resident deposit and the price of real estate. So there was a certain correlation, but it was shifted to 20 months. So it means in case we have a certain crash in the price of oil, so we're going to be affected after 20 months, so not immediately. So because the relation, it was between 2001 until 2016. That's why nowadays in Lebanon, you're hearing about the real estate crash. But I talked about it long time ago. I said buy one, get two, buy one, get three. And by the way, the crash of the real estate is good for the economy. It's going to decrease the operational cost. So it's going to be easier to invest. So, and normally the youth can afford, for example, buying real estate at a lower price. So it doesn't mean always crashes, it's something bad. And here you have a certain, for example, the lowest price of oil was 2016. So we started being affected in October 2018 more severely. To skip all that, and I don't want to enter into these. Always you see rumors in the market, and normally rumors is to drive you to a certain place. I remember here that I have a certain fine lady that used to be my student. She called me once from Dubai. I was in Beirut. She told me, what about investing in Bitcoins? So I told her, everybody is asking about Bitcoins, Mrs. Georges. So whenever you see that everybody is involved in something and they have nothing to do with it, for example, medical doctors, pharmacists, receptionists, taxi drivers, they don't have to do normally into cryptos. They have nothing to do into cryptos. In case everybody is asking you about that, and you've seen the cryptos on the cover page of magazines, okay, as if it's the star. So normally there is something fishy, and it means a certain crash is imminent. So always it's like that. Whenever they said the euro is going to reach $2, it never reached $2. It reached 147. But in the media all the time, 1 euro, $2. 1 euro is going to hit $2. Same thing applied to gold. They used to say gold is going to reach 2,500. 2,500, it never reached 2,000. Oil at the time, they used to tell you oil is going to reach 200, 200, 200. The maximum it reached 147. In the downside, they said it's going to $10 in 2016. They said the barrel of crude oil is going to go to $10. $10 nowadays, you know that every 19 years in the States, money is going to lose half of its value. So saying $10 in 2016 is the equivalent of $5 19 years ago. It was something absurd as well, and the minimum we reached 26. So always you should be aware of, don't follow the rumors, but they can guide you. Nowadays we use artificial intelligence and algorithm, and we follow the tweets of people to see what is the market sentiment. And based on this market sentiment, we decide whether to be contrarian if the market sentiment is really, really very pessimistic. People are very pessimistic. So we might, it's like when we used to have a very famous, used to say in Wall Street, buy when the blood is in the street, no? So whenever you see that the market sentiment is very, very, very low, maybe it's time to purchase. And maybe you follow certain people are very famous on social media, and maybe you do the same like them. So you have to see the algorithm, what's going to tell you, because this is a certain easy way to track the sentiment of people. Only from tweets you can do that. So I want to wrap up with this, and just I want to say about the US 2020, certain people, they say that we have an imminent crash in the States, and this crash is going to affect the whole world. I can tell you, the more they say that there will be a crash, it won't happen, okay? The less they say, you have more probability. In the United States, the market, in general, in the last century, we used to have, on average, every 10 years, a certain crash, but doesn't mean it has to be always 10 years. History, in general, it tends to repeat itself, but it's not always the same way, okay? So in the States, the economy is doing well, you have full employment. What Mr. Trump did is great. He cut taxes, and I don't like taxes at all in general. And you know that during recession, you should not put taxes at all. Mr. Trump, he did something that we call, he deregulated the market, so he put less regulations. During the time of the Federal Reserve, we used to have lots of money flooding, lots of quantitative easing, but the money was not reaching the economy because of lots of regulations. He came, he deregulated the market, he went for tax cut, because for me the monetary policy, all the cards were played. So it was time for this fiscal policy. So the United States is doing great, profitability of corporations are doing great, and I can tell you thank you for coming. I thank FxPro, I thank the speakers, Dr. Naimi, Chief Economist Marius, and Stephen, and all those who participated before, and it's time for Q&A.